Saturday was going perfectly until this happened. Alex woke up to the soft, golden light of the Saturday morning sun streaming through the curtains. The room smelled faintly of fresh linen, and for the first time in a long while, Alex felt a deep sense of calm. There was no rush today, no alarm blaring with the harshness of the workweek, and no pressing deadlines looming overhead. Just a peaceful Saturday, stretching out ahead like an empty canvas ready to be painted. Sliding out of bed, Alex stretched lazily, feeling the gentle pull of muscles still waking from sleep. The morning was quiet except for the distant chirping of birds outside. Each note seemed to celebrate the new day, and Alex couldn't help but smile. The week had been hectic, filled with endless meetings, phone calls, and tasks that had drained energy and patience. But today felt different. Today felt like a reward. After a quick shower, Alex moved to the kitchen. The smell of coffee filled the air as the machine hummed softly, releasing its rich, warm aroma. Coffee was more than just a morning ritual. It was a comfort, a small pleasure that made everything feel a little more manageable. Pouring the coffee into a favorite mug, Alex took the first sip slowly, savoring the warmth that spread through the body and the slight bitterness that seemed to sharpen the senses. Alex had made a mental list of the day's plans the night before. There were errands to run, a few calls to make, and some personal projects that had been sitting untouched for weeks. Today, it felt like everything was within reach, like the universe had pressed a pause button to allow time for simple joys. There was a sense of freedom in the air, and Alex intended to make the most of it. After breakfast, Alex decided to take a short walk around the neighborhood. The streets were quiet, with only a few early risers passing by. The trees were tall and leafy, casting long shadows over the pavement, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind created a soothing melody. As Alex walked, there was a feeling of connection to the world, a reminder that life, even in its simplicity, was full of beauty. Neighbors waved as they passed, and Alex returned the greetings with a warm smile. There was something comforting about these small interactions, brief moments of connection that reminded one of community and belonging. Dogs trotted alongside their owners, children played with laughter that echoed across the streets, and the occasional bicycle rang its bell as it passed by. Everything felt alive, harmonious, and full of potential. Returning home, Alex felt a renewed sense of energy. There was a project waiting to be started, something personal that had been set aside for too long. It was an idea that had been brewing for weeks, and today, there was no excuse not to begin. Sitting at the desk, Alex opened the notebook, pen in hand, and let the thoughts flow freely. Words, ideas, and sketches poured out effortlessly, each one more exciting than the last. There was a sense of satisfaction in the creative process, a feeling of turning imagination into something tangible. By mid-morning, it was time to step out for errands. Alex prepared quickly, making sure the essentials were packed: a wallet, keys, phone, and a small bottle of water. The weather was perfect, mild but sunny, with a soft breeze that carried the scent of flowers from nearby gardens. It was the kind of day that made even mundane tasks feel enjoyable. As Alex walked to the car, there was a sense of anticipation. Saturdays were always special, but today felt exceptional. Maybe it was the way the sun glinted off the rooftops, or perhaps it was the deep sense of contentment that had settled in Alex's mind. Whatever it was, the day seemed to hum with promise, and Alex was ready to embrace it fully. Getting into the car, Alex started the engine and felt a quiet thrill as the vehicle rolled forward. There was something almost meditative about driving on a calm morning, the soft rhythm of wheels on the road, the occasional sound of birds overhead, and the passing scenery that seemed almost cinematic in its tranquility. Thoughts drifted easily, moving from one happy memory to another, and the stress of the week seemed to fade further into the background. Arriving at the first stop, Alex found the store surprisingly empty, a rare blessing for a Saturday morning. Browsing the aisles, Alex picked up fresh fruits, vegetables, and a few other essentials. Even this routine task felt enjoyable. The colors, smells, and textures of the fresh produce created a small, quiet delight. There was a sense of accomplishment in planning meals and choosing quality ingredients, a simple but satisfying way to care for oneself and those around. While at the checkout, Alex noticed a small display of flowers near the register. Their bright colors and delicate petals seemed almost to smile at customers. On a whim, Alex picked a small bouquet, thinking it would brighten the living room and add a little extra joy to the day. Holding the flowers in hand, the morning's happiness seemed to multiply, each small gesture of care making the day feel richer and fuller. Walking back to the car, Alex felt light and content, almost floating with the sense of a perfect Saturday. The sun was higher now, warming the skin gently, and the sky was a clear, brilliant blue. Every detail, from the gentle sway of the trees to the laughter of distant children, seemed to affirm that life was, in this moment, exactly as it should be. Alex returned home, parking the car and carrying the groceries inside. Everything seemed easy, flowing smoothly without effort or worry. There was a sense of harmony in the air, a quiet reassurance that the day would continue to unfold beautifully. For the first time in weeks, Alex felt fully present, savoring each moment without distraction or anxiety. As the morning progressed, Alex made a simple but delicious lunch, taking time to enjoy each bite, noticing the flavors, textures, and aromas. Eating slowly, appreciating the food and the effort that had gone into preparing it, Alex felt gratitude for the small pleasures that made life meaningful. There was a sense of being grounded, of being connected to the world in a calm, steady way. After lunch, Alex sat by the window, looking outside as the world moved gently on. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting playful patterns across the floor. A gentle breeze rustled the curtains, and for a moment everything was still. In this quiet, peaceful pause, Alex reflected on the simple joys of life, the warmth of the sun, the comfort of home, the beauty of nature, and the satisfaction of small accomplishments. By mid-afternoon, Alex had a sense of anticipation for the rest of the day. There were plans with friends later, but for now, the morning had been a perfect prelude, a gentle and joyful beginning that set the tone for what was to come. Everything seemed aligned, every detail falling into place as if the universe itself were conspiring to make this Saturday unforgettable. Alex leaned back in the chair, letting the quiet happiness wash over. There was no rush, no pressure, just the serene feeling that comes when everything feels right. For a few precious hours, life had slowed down, allowing space for appreciation, reflection, and simple, pure joy. In that moment, Alex thought about how rare it was to feel such harmony and made a silent promise to savor it fully. Today was not just a Saturday. It was a reminder that even amid the chaos of life, there could be moments of peace, clarity, and happiness. And as the sun continued its gentle climb in the sky, Alex felt ready to embrace the rest of the day, unaware that the unexpected twist that would come next was just around the corner. After the perfect start to the morning, Alex decided it was time to step out for some errands. There was a sense of excitement in the air, a feeling that the day was unfolding exactly as it should. The sun was shining gently, and a mild breeze carried the scents of flowers from nearby gardens. Even the usual noise of the city seemed softer, as if the world itself was giving Alex a peaceful Saturday. As Alex walked to the car, there was a spring in the step. Each footfall on the pavement felt light, almost like a rhythm accompanying the joyful mood. The streets were alive in their own quiet way. Neighbors tended to their gardens, children laughed as they chased each other around, and a few early risers jogged along the sidewalks. There was a comforting familiarity in it all, a sense that life, for a brief moment, was simple and kind. Alex unlocked the car and placed the bag of fresh flowers in the passenger seat. The bouquet's bright colors seemed to reflect the mood perfectly. It was the kind of small pleasure that made ordinary days feel special. With a deep breath of anticipation, Alex started the engine and pulled out of the driveway, ready to tackle the first stop of the day. The first destination was the grocery store, which was thankfully quiet for a Saturday morning. The aisles, usually crowded, felt almost empty, and Alex moved with ease from section to section. Fresh vegetables, fruits, bread, and a few household essentials were added to the cart. Each selection was made thoughtfully, appreciating the textures, colors, and freshness of the items. Even the routine task of shopping had a sense of enjoyment today. As Alex approached the checkout counter, a minor mishap occurred. While reaching for the wallet, the cart nudged a display of jars on the side, causing one to wobble dangerously. Alex quickly steadied it, breathing a sigh of relief when it didn't fall. It was such a small incident, easily overlooked, yet it reminded Alex that even the most perfect mornings could have tiny, unexpected moments. Chuckling to oneself, Alex thought, well, that's life. After paying for the groceries, Alex loaded everything into the car. The flowers were carefully placed on top, so they wouldn't be crushed by the heavier items. It was a simple act, but one that gave a quiet sense of responsibility and care. Alex loved these little rituals, the way they made life feel intentional rather than rushed or chaotic. Driving away from the store, Alex noticed a sudden noise, a soft hissing sound coming from the tires. Pulling over to inspect, Alex's heart sank slightly. One of the tires was flat. It was not a major disaster, but it was definitely unexpected. Alex took a deep breath, reminding oneself to stay calm. Flat tires were inconvenient, but they were manageable. There was no need to panic. Alex retrieved the spare tire and tools from the trunk. It had been a while since changing a tire, and the process took longer than expected. Hands grew slightly dirty and sweat formed on the forehead, but Alex persisted, determined to fix the problem. While working, a few neighbors passed by, offering smiles and friendly greetings. Their small gestures of kindness made the task feel less frustrating, and Alex even managed a laugh at the situation. Once the tire was fixed and the car back in motion, Alex felt a small surge of pride. The morning had presented an unexpected challenge, and it had been overcome. There was a sense of accomplishment in handling the minor mishap independently. With the road ahead clear, Alex continued the journey to the next stop, the city beginning to feel alive with activity. Traffic was heavier than usual, a sharp contrast to the peaceful morning. Cars moved slowly, and occasional honks added to the tension. Alex's calm demeanor from earlier was being tested, but there was a conscious effort to stay patient. Music played softly in the background, a favorite playlist designed to soothe and energize at the same time. The familiar tunes offered comfort, turning the slow crawl into a more bearable experience. As the minutes passed, Alex observed the world outside the car window. A family walked along the sidewalk, the children holding colorful balloons, their laughter echoing across the street. A street musician played a gentle tune on a guitar, adding an unexpected melody to the city sounds. Even in the midst of traffic, there were moments of beauty, small details that reminded Alex that life was rarely all bad or all good. It was a mix, and each moment was worth noticing. Finally arriving at the destination, Alex parked the car and took a moment to stretch. The errands would take a little time, but there was no rush. Everything could be done at a comfortable pace, enjoying each step rather than rushing through. This attitude, Alex realized, made the tasks feel less like obligations and more like part of a leisurely day. While inside the store, Alex noticed an old friend browsing the aisles. Their eyes met, and for a moment both were surprised and delighted. It had been months since they had last spoken, and the chance encounter felt like a small gift from fate. They exchanged warm greetings and began catching up. Stories of work, family, and small adventures filled the conversation, each anecdote bringing laughter and smiles. It was a reminder that even ordinary errands could lead to unexpected joy. After parting ways with a friend, Alex continued shopping. The final items were gathered, and the checkout went smoothly. The small bag of groceries was packed with care into the car, and the bouquet of flowers once again took pride of place in the front seat. There was a small, quiet satisfaction in completing errands without any further mishaps, a feeling of order and control amidst life's little surprises. As Alex started the car to head home, a sense of relief washed over. The morning had been perfect, despite the minor interruptions. It was a reminder that even when unexpected events occurred, they didn't have to ruin the day. With patience and a positive attitude, challenges could be navigated without losing the overall sense of happiness. However, as the car pulled out onto the street, another small problem emerged. A traffic jam caused by an accident a few blocks ahead slowed progress significantly. Cars moved at a snail's pace, and impatience threatened to creep in. Alex took a deep breath, turning on the radio to distract from the delay. The morning's peace seemed distant for a moment, replaced by the frustration of waiting in traffic. Despite the irritation, Alex tried to find humor in the situation. Observing the other drivers, noticing their expressions, and even imagining the stories behind each person in the cars, brought a sense of perspective. Life was full of these small annoyances, and the choice to react with frustration or patience was entirely personal. Alex chose patience, focusing on the calm feeling that had carried through the morning. Finally, after what felt like a long delay, the traffic began to move again. The sun was shining warmly, and the breeze still carried the scent of nearby flowers. Alex felt a renewed sense of hope that the rest of the day would continue smoothly. The minor setbacks had been handled, and there was still time to enjoy the day's plans. Returning home, Alex noticed a small mess in the kitchen. A jar had tipped over during the earlier errands, spilling its contents across the counter. Normally, this would have caused immediate frustration, but today was different. Alex simply rolled up the sleeves and began cleaning. There was a quiet satisfaction in restoring order, a small victory over life's unpredictable nature. Each movement, each careful wipe, reminded Alex that the day was still in control, and there was no reason for stress. By mid-afternoon, Alex sat down for a brief rest, looking out the window at the world outside. The leaves swayed gently in the breeze, birds continued their cheerful songs, and the sun created playful patterns on the floor. For a moment, everything felt still and perfect again. The morning's small challenges now seemed distant, replaced by a feeling of accomplishment and quiet joy. Reflecting on the day, Alex realized that even minor interruptions had their own value. They reminded one of resilience, patience, and the ability to navigate life without losing composure. Each small problem handled successfully added to the sense of satisfaction, turning what could have been frustration into a story of capability and calm. With the rest of the afternoon stretching ahead, Alex felt prepared for whatever else might come. There was a sense of readiness, a quiet confidence that even unexpected events could be met with composure and optimism. The day had started perfectly, faced minor hurdles, and now seemed poised to continue beautifully. Sitting back in the chair, Alex reflected on how easy it was to get caught up in frustration during minor mishaps. Today was a reminder that perspective mattered. By focusing on the positives, by noticing small joys, and by remaining calm, even ordinary days could feel special and meaningful. There was a quiet pride in navigating life's little challenges gracefully. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, Alex prepared for the next part of the day, meeting friends for a small get-together. The earlier events had been handled, lessons learned, and the day still held the potential for laughter, fun, and shared memories. There was a feeling of anticipation, of excitement for what was to come, without letting go of the calm contentment that had been carefully nurtured throughout the morning. Alex stood up, stretched once more, and looked around the home with a sense of satisfaction. Everything was in order, the flowers still brightening the room, the groceries neatly put away, and a feeling of accomplishment lingering in the air. There was a sense of pride in handling the morning's challenges calmly, a reminder that even when things don't go perfectly, the day can still be full of happiness and satisfaction. With renewed energy, Alex prepared to leave the house for the afternoon plans, carrying the quiet joy and lessons of the morning along. The perfect Saturday, though slightly altered by minor interruptions, was still unfolding beautifully. And little did Alex know, the day's most unexpected event, the one that would truly test patience and resolve, was still waiting just around the corner. After handling the minor mishaps of the morning and early afternoon, Alex felt a renewed sense of energy. The errands were done, the groceries put away, and the small bouquet of flowers still brightened the living room with cheerful colors. Everything seemed back in order, and the day still held that sense of possibility that had made the morning so perfect. There was still time before meeting friends for the small get-together later, so Alex decided to take a short walk around the neighborhood to enjoy the pleasant afternoon weather. The sun had moved slightly westward, casting long, warm shadows across the streets. The gentle breeze carried the soft scent of freshly cut grass from nearby gardens. Children played in the yards, their laughter ringing clear and happy. Neighbors tended to their plants or chatted casually on porches. Everything felt alive and welcoming. Alex walked slowly, savoring the calm and peace of the moment, thinking that sometimes the simplest activities, just walking and observing the world, could be the most satisfying. As Alex strolled down a familiar street, the thought of the upcoming afternoon plans brought a small smile. Meeting friends was always enjoyable. They had a tradition of sharing stories, jokes, and experiences that could make even ordinary days feel extraordinary. Today, the anticipation of laughter and companionship added another layer of warmth to an already pleasant day. Alex thought about what to wear, what snacks or items might be helpful to bring along, and felt a sense of preparedness and comfort. However, just as Alex reached the corner near the park, a sudden sound caught attention. There was a loud crash, a metallic clanging, followed by the noise of objects tumbling to the ground. Alex froze, heart racing slightly, and instinctively turned toward the sound. A delivery truck had accidentally tipped over a large stack of crates, spilling fruits and boxes onto the street. People nearby gasped, stepping back to avoid being hit, and the driver of the truck looked shocked and worried, immediately trying to assess the situation. Alex's calm afternoon suddenly shifted. There was a small moment of panic, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of responsibility. The street was partially blocked and the driver seemed overwhelmed. Without hesitation, Alex approached cautiously, offering to help. Together with a few others who had gathered, they began moving crates, picking up fallen items and guiding pedestrians safely around the scene. It was not a large-scale disaster, but the effort required focus and patience. Alex's heart was still beating a little faster, and there was a sense of adrenaline mixing with the earlier calm. Helping others in a situation like this felt important, even if it was tiring. The small act of cooperation, combined with the shared effort, created a brief sense of community and solidarity among the strangers. It reminded Alex that life was full of unexpected moments, and sometimes the best response was to step forward and help. Once the crates were upright and the spilled items collected, the driver thanked Alex sincerely. There was a fleeting moment of satisfaction in knowing that the situation had been resolved quickly and safely. People returned to their routines, and the neighborhood gradually settled back into quiet activity. Alex, however, could feel a slight tension lingering, a subtle reminder that even perfect days could take sudden turns. Deciding to continue the walk, Alex headed toward a small cafe nearby. It was one of those cozy spots with large windows and warm decor, perfect for relaxing and enjoying a snack. Ordering a cup of tea and a pastry, Alex found a quiet corner and settled in. The sounds of quiet conversation, clinking cups and soft music provided a comforting backdrop. The tea was soothing, the pastry delicious, and for a few minutes it felt as though the day had returned to its peaceful rhythm. As Alex sipped the tea, thoughts drifted to the friends who would arrive later. What stories would be shared? Which jokes would make everyone laugh? There was a sense of joyful anticipation, combined with relief that the earlier chaos had been handled without incident. The day was still good, and Alex wanted to savor every moment. Finishing the tea, Alex paid the bill and stepped outside. The afternoon sun was warm but not too hot, casting a golden glow over the streets. Birds flew overhead, and the rustling leaves added a soft soundtrack to the walk back home. Alex felt a gentle contentment, a quiet happiness that comes from feeling connected to the world and being fully present in the moment. But as Alex approached the car parked near the curb, something unusual caught the eye. The passenger door, which had been securely locked earlier, was slightly ajar. A small pit formed in the stomach. The first thought was disbelief. How could this have happened? Alex carefully approached, heart racing slightly faster than before, and checked the interior. Nothing appeared to be missing, and the car seemed intact, but the sudden unexpectedness of the moment was jarring. Alex took a deep breath, reminding oneself to stay calm. It was easy to jump to worst-case scenarios, but there was no evidence of a real problem. Perhaps the door had not been closed properly, or it might have been nudged by a passing pedestrian. Still, the incident shook the quiet confidence that had been cultivated throughout the day. After carefully closing and locking the door again, Alex decided it was best to sit for a few moments, reflecting and regaining composure. As Alex sat on a nearby bench, a wave of realization hit. The day, which had started perfectly, was beginning to take unexpected turns. The flat tire, the traffic jam, the minor accident with the truck, and now this situation. All small events, but cumulatively they were disrupting the calm and flow of the morning. It was a reminder that life had its own plans, often different from what one hopes for. Trying to shake off the lingering anxiety, Alex focused on positive thoughts. The flowers were still bright in the living room, the errands had been completed successfully, and the earlier moments of helping others had been meaningful. Life was not ruined by these minor disturbances. They were simply part of the story, reminders that no day, however perfect, could remain entirely free from surprises. Determined to regain a sense of control, Alex returned home, carefully locking the car and carrying the groceries inside. The afternoon sun filtered through the windows, casting warm patterns across the floor. Sitting down, Alex took a deep breath, reflecting on the lessons of the day so far. Patience, calm, and perspective were as important as any plan or preparation. However, the quiet contemplation did not last long. Just as Alex was starting to relax, the phone rang. It was a friend, calling to say they were running late for the get-together. The delay meant that some plans would need to be adjusted, and Alex would have to occupy time in a different way than intended. While not a disaster, it was another reminder that life rarely followed the exact script one hoped for. Rather than becoming frustrated, Alex decided to take advantage of the time. The idea of going for a short walk again, maybe visiting the small park nearby or reading a book in the sun, seemed inviting. There was a choice, to dwell on the disruptions or to make the most of the moment. Alex chose the latter, finding ways to enjoy the present despite the minor interruptions. As Alex stepped outside once more, the day seemed to take on a different quality. The sunlight was softer, the shadows longer, and the air cooler. Children were still playing, and neighbors continued their afternoon routines. Even in the midst of the minor disturbances, life was moving forward, and Alex felt a sense of resilience forming, a quiet understanding that challenges, big or small, could be handled with grace. While walking through the park, Alex noticed a small group of people setting up for a local community event, a small fair with handmade crafts and snacks. Curiosity sparked, and Alex wandered closer to observe. The event was charming, full of color and cheerful chatter. It was a reminder that even on days filled with small disruptions, unexpected joys could appear. Alex spent a few minutes exploring the stalls, chatting with some of the vendors, and enjoying a freshly baked treat. By the time Alex returned home, there was a renewed sense of calm. The phone call delay, the small incidents, and the unexpected moments of the day had all been managed with patience and perspective. Alex realized that while the day had not remained perfectly smooth, it was still filled with meaningful experiences and small joys. Sitting down, Alex reflected on the unfolding of the day so far. Life had its way of testing patience, but it also offered moments of connection, beauty, and growth. The afternoon had shown that even when things did not go perfectly, there was always an opportunity to learn, to help others, and to find happiness in small experiences. As the sun began to lower toward the horizon, Alex felt a mix of anticipation and curiosity for the next part of the day. The friends would arrive soon, and the evening promised laughter, stories, and shared moments. But deep down, Alex knew that more surprises might be waiting, both challenging and unexpected. And that perhaps was part of what made the day memorable: the perfect morning, the small mishaps, and the unpredictable twists that tested resilience while also offering joy. Alex stood up, stretched, and looked around the home with appreciation. The flowers still brightened the room, the groceries were organized, and the calm from the morning still lingered despite the afternoon disruptions. Life, Alex thought, was rarely perfect, but it was the small moments, the choices to stay calm, and the willingness to embrace unexpected events that made the day truly meaningful. With a quiet sense of readiness, Alex prepared to greet the friends for the evening plans. The day had already taught lessons in patience, observation, and perspective. Whatever happened next, Alex felt ready, knowing that even the unexpected could be faced with grace and a positive attitude. As the afternoon slowly shifted toward evening, Alex felt a mixture of calm and anticipation. The day had been full of small surprises, minor mishaps, unexpected delays, and moments of helpfulness, but the perfect Saturday vibe still lingered. There was an almost tangible energy in the air, one that made the upcoming plans with friends feel even more promising. Everything seemed ready to flow smoothly, and Alex was eager to enjoy the evening. After a short pause to tidy up the living room and place the bouquet of flowers in a more prominent spot, Alex checked the phone for messages from friends. Some were running slightly late, but everyone was on their way. There was still time to prepare snacks, set up drinks, and make the living space cozy for the small gathering. Alex moved with purpose, carefully arranging items, feeling a quiet satisfaction in seeing everything ready for a comfortable and joyful evening. The sun was now lower in the sky, painting the room with a warm, golden light. Shadows stretched across the floor, and the gentle hum of life outside added a comforting background to the preparations. Alex felt a sense of pride in the small details, setting up chairs, arranging plates, and even placing the flowers just so. It was a simple effort, but it made the environment feel welcoming, cheerful, and ready for the gathering. The first friend arrived, smiling brightly and carrying a small dessert. The greeting was warm, filled with laughter and playful teasing about the perfect Saturday that had been promised earlier. They chatted for a few minutes, sharing stories of their morning and small, amusing incidents. The energy was light and joyful, and it reminded Alex of how much these small gatherings meant: simple connections, laughter, and the comfort of friendship. Soon the other friends arrived, each bringing their own small contributions, snacks, drinks, or just their cheerful presence. The room quickly filled with chatter, laughter, and the occasional sound of clinking plates and glasses. Alex felt a deep sense of contentment, the kind that comes when one is surrounded by people who genuinely bring joy and warmth. The earlier disruptions of the day seemed distant, almost like small chapters that had led to this moment of togetherness. Just as everyone settled and began sharing stories, a sudden noise from the front door interrupted the laughter. The sound was sharp and unexpected, a loud thud, followed by the door swinging open slightly. Alex's heart skipped a beat, startled by the sudden intrusion. The first instinct was to check outside, to see what had caused the noise. For a moment, the cheerful energy of the gathering was replaced by a tension that was impossible to ignore. Stepping cautiously toward the door, Alex noticed the dog had somehow slipped out while a friend was entering. It was unusual behavior, and the dog seemed excited, bounding around with an energy that was almost chaotic. Alex called out gently, trying to calm the dog, but it continued to run toward the street, tail wagging furiously and eyes full of mischief. The moment, simple at first, escalated quickly into a full-blown chase. Alex sprinted after the dog, heart racing as adrenaline took over. Friends quickly offered assistance, some following behind, others calling for the dog to return. The quiet, peaceful neighborhood suddenly became a scene of movement and noise. Cars passed cautiously on the street, neighbors peered out their windows, and the dog darted through yards and sidewalks with astonishing speed. What had begun as a perfect day was now filled with tension and urgency. Despite the chaos, Alex maintained a calm determination. It was important to act carefully, not to frighten the dog further, and to ensure safety for everyone involved. The chase wound through familiar streets, with Alex keeping a steady pace, calling the dog by name and trying to anticipate its movements. The dog, sensing excitement and freedom, continued to run playfully but unpredictably, adding to the difficulty of the situation. Friends coordinated from a distance, guiding the dog away from busy streets and obstacles. It was a team effort, each person contributing in small ways, blocking paths, offering treats, or simply shouting encouragement. The sense of community, cooperation, and shared purpose created a silver lining in an otherwise stressful moment. Alex could feel both the stress and the satisfaction of handling the challenge together with others. After several minutes of careful maneuvering, Alex finally managed to corner the dog near a quiet park. Kneeling down, speaking softly and extending a hand, Alex slowly coaxed the dog closer. The animal hesitated, sniffed the air, and finally responded, bounding happily into Alex's arms once again. Relief washed over immediately, a mixture of exhaustion, joy, and triumph. The chaos was over and the dog was safe. Carrying the dog back home, Alex reflected on how quickly a perfect day could shift. One small, seemingly harmless event, an open door, a playful dog, had turned a serene Saturday afternoon into a frantic adventure. But the resolution brought its own sense of accomplishment. There was satisfaction in managing the situation calmly, in acting quickly without panic, and in successfully navigating an unpredictable challenge. Once inside, the dog was settled, the friends returned to their spots, and the laughter slowly resumed. The earlier chaos became a story to share, an anecdote that added excitement to the evening rather than spoiling it. Everyone joined in the retelling, embellishing small details humorously, and the moment transformed into a source of amusement rather than frustration. Alex smiled, realizing that even disruptions could create memories that would be cherished and retold in the future. The rest of the evening gradually returned to calm, filled with conversation, laughter, and the simple pleasures of friendship. Snacks were enjoyed, stories were shared, and the atmosphere felt warm and inviting. Alex noticed the contrast between the earlier tension and the current calm, It highlighted how quickly life's moments could change, yet also how quickly balance could be restored. As the evening progressed, Alex reflected quietly on the events of the day. The morning had been perfect, the afternoon had introduced small challenges, and the dog incident had brought an unexpected test of patience and composure. But through it all, there was a consistent thread: the ability to remain calm, observe carefully, and act with intention. These qualities had made it possible to navigate the day successfully, and they provided a deeper appreciation for the value of resilience and mindfulness. The friends eventually began to depart, one by one, leaving Alex with a feeling of warmth and gratitude. The room was quieter now, the day's energy settling into a peaceful rhythm. The golden evening light filtered through the windows, casting soft shadows across the floor. The dog lay nearby, content and calm, a living reminder of the earlier excitement. Alex cleaned up a few remaining items, reflecting on how the day had unfolded. The lessons were clear. Life was unpredictable, challenges could arise at any moment, and yet joy and satisfaction could still be found. It was a reminder that perfect days were not those without obstacles, but those in which one faced them with patience, care, and a positive attitude. Sitting in the now quiet living room, Alex thought about how quickly emotions had shifted throughout the day, from calm to minor frustration, from joy to tension, and finally back to contentment. It was a reminder that life was full of contrasts, each moment offering its own lesson. The ability to adapt, to stay grounded, and to find meaning in even the smallest events was what made each day memorable. By the time night fell, the day had come full circle. The sun had set, leaving a soft twilight glow, and the neighborhood had returned to its peaceful rhythm. Alex reflected on the series of events: morning perfection, afternoon disruptions, the chaotic chase, and the eventual calm of the evening. Each event, no matter how small or surprising, had contributed to the richness of the day, creating a story worth remembering. Finally, as Alex prepared for bed, there was a quiet sense of satisfaction. The day had not remained perfectly smooth, but it had been full of lessons, laughter, and meaningful moments. The challenges had been met, friendships had been celebrated, and even the dog's unexpected adventure had become a memorable story to tell. Lying down, Alex thought about the day's journey. Life, with its unpredictable turns, could be challenging, but it also offered joy, connection, and growth. The key, Alex realized, was to stay calm, appreciate small pleasures, and face challenges with patience and care. Even when the day seemed to derail, it was possible to find balance, restore calm, and embrace life's unpredictability with a smile. And with that comforting thought, Alex drifted off to sleep, ready to wake up to whatever the next day might bring, carrying the lessons, memories, and small joys of a truly eventful Saturday. The house was quiet now. The laughter and chatter of friends had faded into memory, leaving only the soft hum of evening settling in. Outside, the last rays of the sun slipped behind the rooftops, and the sky was painted in shades of pink and orange. Alex sat on the couch, the dog curled contentedly at the feet, and a deep sense of relief and calm spread through the body. After a day full of surprises, chaos, and laughter, there was finally a chance to pause and reflect. The events of the day played through Alex's mind like a short film. The morning had started perfectly: a bright sun, warm coffee, freshly baked pastries, and a quiet walk through familiar streets. Everything had seemed in harmony, and for a brief moment it had felt as though the world had paused just to allow a perfect Saturday. Alex remembered that calm vividly: the simple joy of being present, of appreciating life's small blessings, and of feeling grounded in the moment. Then came the first minor challenge: the flat tire. It seemed almost comical in hindsight, but at the time it had caused a little stress and frustration. The hands-on task of changing it, the careful attention to each step, and the brief moment of triumph once it was done, had reminded Alex that even minor obstacles could be overcome with patience and effort. Life, Alex realized, often presented small tests, and how one responded to them determined whether they became sources of stress or opportunities for growth. The traffic jam that followed, caused by an accident several blocks ahead, added another layer to the day. For a while, the sense of calm from the morning had been replaced by impatience and frustration. But listening to soothing music, observing the world outside the window, and taking time to notice small, beautiful details, the children playing, the birds flying, the sun glinting off rooftops, had turned the moment into something almost meditative. It was a reminder that perspective mattered. Even waiting in traffic could become a moment of reflection, a chance to appreciate life from a different angle. Alex smiled softly, thinking about the small accident with the delivery truck. The noise, the commotion, and the sudden need to help could have been overwhelming. But stepping forward, offering assistance, and working with strangers to restore order had transformed what could have been stress into a small triumph. That moment, like the flat tire and the traffic jam, reinforced the lesson that life's disruptions, however inconvenient, could also provide opportunities to help, connect, and learn. The afternoon had its own surprises. The open car door and the slight worry that something might have been wrong had sent Alex's heart racing for a brief moment. Even though it turned out to be nothing, the initial fear had been a reminder that life could change in an instant. The key, Alex realized, was to stay calm and think clearly rather than panic. Each challenge, no matter how small, was a chance to practice resilience and mindfulness. And then, the major incident of the day, the dog escaping into the street, had brought the ultimate test. The earlier moments of calm and minor mishaps had felt like preparation for this moment, though Alex didn't know it at the time. The adrenaline rush, the frantic chase through the neighborhood, and the careful coordination with friends had all demanded focus, patience, and quick thinking. Alex could still feel the tension in the muscles just remembering the chase, the way the heart had pounded, and the fleeting fear that the dog might run too far or get into danger. But the resolution had been perfect. The dog was safe, the friends were supportive, and the chaos had turned into a story everyone could laugh about. Alex realized that this incident had been more than just a challenge. It had been a lesson in collaboration, calmness, and persistence. Even when life felt out of control, it was possible to regain balance with thoughtfulness, courage, and a clear mind. Now, sitting in the quiet living room, Alex thought about the laughter of friends during the evening. Their joy, their shared stories, and the playful retelling of the dog chase had transformed potential frustration into shared memories. These were the moments that made life rich: the unpredictability, the surprises, and the ability to respond with humor and care. Alex realized that days like this were rare and precious precisely because they combined perfection, challenge, and connection into one memorable experience. The dog stirred slightly, looking up with trusting eyes, and Alex reached down to scratch behind the ears. It was a simple gesture, but it brought a sense of peace and satisfaction. The events of the day had reminded Alex of the responsibility, joy, and unpredictability that came with caring for another living being. The dog had been both the cause of stress and the source of laughter, showing that even challenges could carry unexpected rewards. Reflecting further, Alex thought about the morning's walk through the neighborhood. The chirping birds, the playful children, and the waving neighbors had set the tone for the day. It had been a gentle reminder that life's beauty often lies in small, ordinary moments. These moments, sometimes overlooked or taken for granted, were just as important as the larger events or challenges. They were the foundation of happiness, grounding the mind and heart in the present. Even the minor mishaps, the flat tire, the traffic jam, the slightly open car door, had contributed to the day's meaning. Each incident had offered lessons in patience, calmness, and perspective. Alex realized that a perfect day was not one without interruptions, but one in which disruptions were met with understanding and composure. It was about the ability to navigate life's unpredictability without letting it overshadow the beauty of the day. Thinking about the friends who had visited, Alex felt gratitude. Their presence, energy, and humor had turned ordinary moments into joyful experiences. They had supported during the dog chase, contributed to the evening gathering, and shared laughter that would be remembered for weeks to come. Friendship, Alex realized, was one of life's greatest gifts, not just in the easy moments but also during small crises, when support, encouragement, and shared effort made challenges easier to bear. As night deepened, the city outside grew quieter. Streetlights glimmered softly, casting gentle reflections on windows and sidewalks. The dog was finally asleep at Alex's feet, tired from the excitement but content. Alex leaned back on the couch, letting the stillness of the evening settle in. There was a warm, full feeling that came from having faced the day's surprises, shared meaningful moments with friends, and navigated both joy and stress successfully. The reflection on the day continued. Alex thought about how the day had been a microcosm of life itself, a mixture of calm and chaos, perfection and imperfection, laughter and challenge. Each event had shaped the experience, each moment adding to the story of the day. There was satisfaction in having handled it with patience and positivity, in having created memories that would be recounted and cherished, and in having learned that even disruptions could carry their own value. Alex also thought about the importance of presence, being fully attentive during each part of the day, whether enjoying the morning coffee, walking through the neighborhood, helping with the delivery truck, or chasing the dog, had made every moment more meaningful. Life, Alex realized, was not just about grand achievements or perfect plans, but about how fully one experienced each passing moment, no matter how ordinary or challenging. The calm and reflection of the evening allowed Alex to process the full arc of the day. From the morning's perfect light and peaceful routine, to the afternoon's minor challenges, and finally to the major excitement of the dog chase and the evening gathering, each part had contributed to a sense of growth and accomplishment. Alex felt stronger, more resilient, and more appreciative of life's small joys and lessons. Before heading to bed, Alex spent a few minutes organizing a small journal. Notes were written about the day's events, capturing thoughts, lessons, and memories while they were still fresh. It was a way to preserve not just the incidents, but the feelings, reflections, and insights that had arisen. Writing it down felt like a final step in fully embracing the day, acknowledging both its challenges and its beauty. Finally, Alex climbed into bed, feeling a quiet gratitude that was almost physical in its warmth. The day had been anything but ordinary. It had started with promise, encountered minor setbacks, escalated into unexpected chaos, and ended in laughter, reflection, and satisfaction. Each part had its own flavor, its own lesson, and its own contribution to a truly memorable Saturday. As Alex drifted off to sleep, there was a sense of completion. Life, with all its unpredictability, could be challenging, but it could also be rich, joyful, and deeply rewarding. The day had offered a perfect blend of calm, chaos, connection, and reflection. Alex knew that while not every day could be like this, the lessons learned, the importance of patience, resilience, presence, and gratitude would carry forward into all future experiences. And so, as the city outside settled into quiet night, Alex slept peacefully, carrying with them the memories, laughter, and lessons of a Saturday that had started perfectly, but ended up being unforgettable in ways that could never have been planned.